Got a Honda in the shop that needs an oil change. Let's get to it. This is what we're working on today, a 2012 Honda Pilot. First thing we want to do is warm up the vehicle. Typically on a Honda that means the cooling fans have come on twice. That's been done on this vehicle. And then of course we want to make sure that our parking brake is applied. We'll go ahead and chock the rear wheels, both of them. To do this job we're going to have to lift up the front of the vehicle with a jack, and we want to use the correct lift points. So from the front of the vehicle, the proper lift point for our jack is going to be this little piece right here. We're going to put the jack right there and lift the front of the vehicle up. Once we get that front of the vehicle lifted up in the air, we need to put jack stands because we're not going to get under a vehicle with only a jack. That could fail and do some serious bodily damage. So if we look under here, you can see this reinforced bracket right here. That's where we're going to put our jack stand. One right here and one on the other side in the exact same position. This vehicle has running boards so they can kind of get in the way. So we'll definitely have to lift this up high enough to get our jack stands up under here. Because that lift point over here is pretty sharp, I'm going to pull the rubber pad off my jack. That way I don't damage it. And I'll get you a shot of how I have the jack set up. Just like that right there. There's a shot of the jack stand placement. Now we just got to lower it the rest of the way down. We'll just give it a little nudge, make sure it's on those jack stands securely. We'll go ahead and pop the hood on this one. It's over here like this. And to get our hood open, we just got to press that lever right there, and then we can lift it up. I can't do it one-handed. I like to reach in, find that oil cap, where is it? Right there, and get it loose. There, now it's loose. Now when I need to, I can get it off. Usually I'll start draining it down below, and then I'll take this cap off to allow air to go in. Alright, from the front of the vehicle, let's go down here, find our oil pan, and then we'll find our drain plug. Alright, so right here, here's our oil pan, and it says engine oil right there. That's going to be our drain plug. We're going to have to remove that. And to remove that drain bolt, we're going to need something that's 17 millimeter. In this case, I'm going to use a 17 millimeter socket. This one's a 3/8 inch variety. And I think I'll use a little bit longer 3/8 inch ratchet, make it a little bit easier on myself. And of course, we're going to need something to catch that oil. So this is what I'm going to use. Who's this made by? Flow Tool, something like that, 16 quarts. I have it customized with this splash pad that I cut into shape and put it in here. That way when the oil or whatever I'm draining hits it, it doesn't splatter back up when it hits this plastic. It kind of just diffuses. This thing works pretty good. Alright, now we'll just put our drain pan in place and we'll go ahead and crack that bolt loose. Alright, see if I can break it loose with you here. All right. Not too tight, these aren't on there very tight. It's either 29 or 30 foot-pounds for these. We'll look up the proper torque, but typically if it's aluminum like this and it's angled straight and this drain plug is not angled like at a 45, then it's going to be either 29 or 30 foot-pounds. I'm pretty sure this one's 30. But we'll look it up, make sure. If it was at an angle like this and it was a steel, then it's going to be 33 foot-pounds. Alright, we'll try not to make too much of a mess and we'll just let that drain. And this is where I come up here and I just loosen that cap. We can take it off. That way it allows air to get in there. Alright, while that's draining, we'll take our drain bolt, we'll clean this up, put a new washer on there. Alright, we'll just get it all cleaned up. Typically, if they haven't been used more than once, they come off nice and easy like that. If they've been smashed down a few times, which of course I don't recommend, they might be a little more difficult to get off. And we got some new ones right here. Actually, both of these are new. I don't know, can you read that? 94109-14000. They're 14 millimeter drain washers. Let's see, I think, yeah, I don't even know if can you even read that anymore. That's what they look like if you get them in the bag from Honda. So I got, as you can see, a bunch of them. Now when we look at these, it's hard to tell in the video, but this side right here is just slightly curved. When we look at it on this side is machined perfectly flat. That's our sealing surface. So that's the side we want away from the bolt head here. So it's going to go on just like that. Now we can put it back on the vehicle. And the torque specs for that drain bolt from Honda for 2012 to 2015 pilots, 30 foot-pounds. And of course, Honda recommends replacing that gasket. Now that's for 2012 to 2015 pilots like we have here. If we have a 2009 to 2011 pilot, the torque spec is going to be 29 foot-pounds on those. And of course, they also recommend replacing the gasket. So only 1 foot-pound difference if you have a little bit older vehicle. Now that we're pretty much done draining, let's go ahead and get that drain bolt back in. And it's going to be 30 foot-pounds, so we'll get the torque wrench and torque it to 30. And already set to 30. Alright, now let's get it tightened up. Yeah, 30.1. Now we'll go ahead and remove that oil filter, and as you can tell, it's kind of in a crappy area. It's right above this and definitely wants to make a mess. To make us feel better about not making a huge mess, we're going to use this oil deflector. This one is made specifically for Honda pilots, but whoops, they don't work too well. They got a little magnet here and it's supposed to stick. I've tried it this way where it drains over here with the drain bolt, but then it kind of gets in the way. You can't really get to the filter and loosen it all the way up. I've tried it this way, trying to put it on there, but they all seem to, it just makes a mess. I think we'll go with this way today. Let's just see what it does today. Now to get that filter loose, we're going to go with the Honda oil filter wrench with a 6-inch extension and a 3/8-inch ratchet. Of course, this is moving around on us. You know, how about we just move this right now? We'll just see if we can crack this loose. And we'll put our little funnel back in place. I hit record on the camera, but it only recorded about 1 second for some reason. I don't know why. But I reached up there by hand and just started to unscrew the oil filter. And of course, oil started coming out. And most of it went where I wanted it to. Yeah, like I said, no matter what you do, it still seems to make a mess. But using it seems to make a little bit less of a mess. Let's see if we can get this out without making too much of a mess. And not ridiculous, but they still, yeah, it's not the greatest design Honda's ever come up with, that's for sure. Yeah, we'll let that drip for a second, then we'll get it cleaned up. While that's dripping, we can go ahead and get our oil filter ready. Honda has several manufacturers that make oil filters for them. I really don't care which one I use. This will be the part number that I'm going to use today. I know this one's made by Fram. These are other manufacturers, so there's the part number for this one, and there's the part number for that one. Like I said, it really doesn't matter to me. I've had no issues using any of them. I know some people really have their preference on which filter they want to use, but it doesn't matter to me. So we'll just get the plastic off, and of course when we're taking this off, try to refrain from poking a hole in there. Little pieces of plastic like that can definitely get in your engine or get in your filter and do some damage, so we don't want to do that. And of course, now we just got to take a little bit of oil and put it on our gasket right here. And now it's ready to be installed. And looks like it's done dripping all that it's going to drip. We'll take that out. And of course, we want to make sure that our gasket on our old filter came off with the actual filter and didn't stay up on there on the housing. Now, Hondas don't typically have a problem with that, but some manufacturers do. So you just want to get in the habit of checking. So we'll just go ahead and clean up our mating surface like this, and we'll spin on the filter. Now what you're supposed to do is, once you feel that gasket hit right here, like right there I can feel it hitting, you're supposed to go one turn, or just about one turn, like 7/8 of a turn. But basically, if we just get it as tight as we can by hand like that, that's pretty good right there. That usually does it. And usually what I'll do is I'll put the wrench on there and I'll go just a hair more, just a tiny bit, just to make sure it doesn't come off. So yeah, I'll just put the wrench back on there and I will just tighten it like that, and that's it. That's all we need to do. And that's just because my hands aren't quite as strong as they used to be. Before, I could just spin it on by hand, tighten it all the way up by hand and trust it. But now I like to just turn it just a hair with the wrench, just to be sure. And we'll try to clean up our mess as best as possible. Alright, let's double check our work. We got our oil filter on properly. We got the drain bolt torqued to spec with a new gasket. We got everything cleaned up, as good as we can. And we got all of our tools out of the way, so we can go ahead and put the vehicle back on the ground. Whoops. Almost forgot my light. And of course, when that vehicle's up in the air only being held by the jack, we don't want to put our fingers in pinch points like this. When we're reaching in to pull this out, grab it from the side. That way if the vehicle comes down, it's going to hit this, not your fingers. You don't want to lose these. And we'll get our wheel chocks. Now, if we punch this filter while it's hot, like that, and I typically try to get all the way through the membrane in there, but if we just poke it like that while it's hot, let it drain for 24 hours, then we can throw it out in the trash in most locations. Of course, you always have to check the rules in your area, but that's what I can do here, so that's what I do. And of course, make sure the used oil is disposed of properly also. Here's the part number for the Honda oil filter wrench. Hopefully you can read that. And here is the part number for the oil deflector. And speaking of oil deflectors, I have this job aid from Honda, and for the red one that we used, it says it's for 2016 and up pilots, and that for 2009 to 2015 pilots, we're supposed to be using the gold one, ending in part number 34. Well, that's this one right here, ending in 34, you can see. And it says 2001 and newer MDX, 1999 and newer Odyssey, 2003 and newer pilots. And 2006 and newer Ridgelines. But as we can see, this shape is almost identical to the one for a 4-cylinder Accord. I have not had good luck on pilots with this one. Maybe your luck will vary, maybe you'll have better luck than me. In all honesty, you don't even need to use one. Just pull that oil filter off, make a little bit of a mess, and clean it up. I'm not even sure if you can find these deflectors online or at Honda dealers anymore anyway. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out for these deflectors. Alright, now let's get this thing filled with oil. And these take SAE 0W20, so we'll go get some oil and we'll go look up the spec from Honda and see how much it takes. I believe it's 4.5 quarts. And we're going to have to fill it right there, and you can see this is kind of in the way. So I have a special little funnel, gets us up at an angle that'll help us fill it up. And the engine oil capacity for 2012 to 2015 pilots, which is what we're working on today, head oil change including filter is going to be 4.5 US quarts. And the correct weight according to the owner's manual is 0W20. Now, if you're working on, if you're working on 2009 to 2011 pilot, head oil change including filter, it's also going to be 4.5 US quarts, but the weight on those is going to be 5W20. This is what we're going with today. I don't worry too much about the name on the bottle as long as we have the correct weight. It's got our starburst symbol there, and it's the correct service specifications. I got the new oil measured out at 4.5 quarts, so we're good to go. All we got to do is dump this in. Now I'm confident that 4.5 quarts is the correct spec for this vehicle, but if it's a vehicle you're unfamiliar with or you're unsure if the specs are correct, you can always go a little bit less. You can put like 4 quarts in, start the vehicle and let it run for a couple minutes, and then after the vehicle sits for a few minutes and the oil settles back down, you can recheck it and see if you need to add any more to get it to that top dot. But in this case, I know 4.5 is going to be good for us. And for the funnel, we're going to use this thing right here from Lyle, part number 19612. And it comes with a lot of attachments. For our application today, we're going to need the funnel, and we're going to need the green cap for Honda, and we're going to need this little extension to get us out and away from where it is. And what's nice about this kit is these caps thread right in just like the original cap. So if I can do this with you guys in my way, we'll just spin this on and just get it snugged. So there, it's snugged up, and now we'll get that little elbow and we'll attach it, and then we'll put the funnel on. And we'll take our elbow, put that in there like that. And we'll take our funnel and we'll just put it down into place like that. We'll just try to get it in there. Whoops, knocked the flashlight over. So that way it's secure. Hopefully you can see it down there. We're secure. We shouldn't be leaking any oil when we dump it in. Now we'll just go ahead and dump 4.5 quarts in and we're good. Now we can take our funnel out, take the elbow out, and our cap. We'll go ahead and put our original cap back in. Now we're going to run the vehicle for about 3 minutes, then we'll shut it off. We'll wait 5 minutes, and then we'll check the level, make sure it's good. But before I do that, my habit is to always just pull the dipstick, put it back in, make sure we have oil on there before I start the vehicle. Sometimes you can get sidetracked and forget that you didn't put oil in. You don't want to do that. Start the vehicle with no oil, of course. So now we know that there's oil in there. Now we can start it and run it for 3 minutes. And of course, when you first start it up, make sure that oil light goes out. It's a good idea to peek underneath, make sure there's no oil pouring out. Run like a kitten, and this one has the VCM disabled, so she's a 6-cylinder all the time. Alright, I just shut it down, so we'll let it sit for 5 minutes and we'll do one last check of that oil level, make sure everything's good to go. While I'm waiting, I'll go ahead and check the tire pressure and all the fluids, make sure they're all good to go too. Alright, it's been 5 minutes. All the fluids are good to go. The tires are good to go. Let's do one final check of our oil level. And here's our dipstick right here. And of course, when we're checking it, we pull the dipstick out. We're going to wipe it off. And then we're going to put it back in. And we're going to fully insert it. It's going to go all the way down like that for a second. And then we'll pull it out and look at the level. So in case you didn't know how to do that, now you do. And hopefully you can tell We want to be within those grid marks right there, and you can see we're right at the top, so it's perfect level. Yeah, if you're in the middle or at the bottom, then you got to add a little bit of oil until it gets up to that top grid right there. Now we got to reset the maintenance minder oil life. Now typically we can go to the information display at the driver's seat and we can reset it there. But usually on many Hondas, that resets everything that's due. So make sure when you reset it there, do everything that's due. I do believe some vehicles will allow you to reset them individually, so you could just do the oil life, but a lot of times you have to do them all together. If you want to do them separately, a lot of times you need a scan tool like this to do them separately. But we'll go ahead, and everything's done on this vehicle, so we're going to go in and reset everything from the driver's seat. Alright, with the key in the on position but not started, we're going to use these two buttons here, and we're going to use the select knob right here, and then we'll look at this. So we need to find our oil. I can't see with you guys in the way. Tell me when it comes up. Is that it right there? Alright, so now we're going to hold the button for like 10 seconds until it starts. Some blink, some go to like a reset or cancel, something like that. Alright, so this one goes to a reset cancel. And so we should be able to hit the button here and it goes up to reset. Hopefully that's it. Now we can hold this for another 5 or 8 seconds, something like that, and it should reset it to 100%. Whoops, did you guys see it? There we go, 100%, so we're good to go. Well, that's it for this one, and as always, if the video helped you out or you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.